comrades. I was fairly nervous on the way here, and I switched on the radio, and Radio 4 came on. Unfortunately for me, they were playing a rerun of Natalie Bennett's interview yesterday, so it's actually made me feel quite good about myself now. I know there's no way I can do as bad as she did. I'd like to take a minute to speak about the youth membership, young people being drawn to socialist ideas, the mood of politics in Britain changing for young people. Voter apathy has now turned into voter anger, and this comes out in lots of different ways. Some people decide they won't vote. Some people decide, like me for instance, to get involved and try and do some political activism. However, this highlights young people realising politics is about class. This disillusion and anger doesn't have to be seen as a bad thing, it has to be harnessed by the left and seen as a positive, something that we can cut into, a gap that, if you like, we can fill. This party's attempts to do so have been amazing. This party is one of sort of the leading visionaries for me of filling that gap of people who are disillusioned, disinterested, and opening up a real alternative, not sort of a UKIP alternative run by a banker, sort of, you know, we're the anti-establishment party. This party has really highlighted that for me. Anyway, I was speaking of not voting, it brings me on to Russell Brand. Now, some people like him, and some people would be happy to never ever see him again. Once again though, I feel like Russell Brand's place in the public eye has shown and highlighted the changing mood. Despite opposition to Russell Brand, he sort of lived on, and what he's done is he's bounded around the word revolution in the media, and that's what I like about Russell Brand. He's added the word revolution to people's dictionary, and they don't see it as such a far-fetched. People go, wow, revolution, that's just ridiculous, we can't overthrow the system, that's nonsense. Whereas what he's done is he's brought that in, and he's got young people speaking about it, all people speaking about it actually, not just young people, and that's one of the key roles he's played for me. So I googled a definition of revolution earlier for my own sake, and it said instance of revolving, and then I realised I was reading the wrong definition, and then I read the second one, which said forcibly overthrowing a government in favour of a new political system, synonymous with a seizure of power. Some people may say, oh, we're really far away from that situation now, we're not going to seize power anytime soon. I see a different picture, especially highlighted by the Scottish referendum. 16-year-olds got the vote, and what happened? Westminster had to come up to Scotland grovelling to try and change people's minds at the last second. And if that isn't a seizure of power, I don't know what is. Forcing them politicians to come up there to ask people to vote to keep us together. And it shows what young people are capable of if they're given a real chance or a real alternative. What they did is 16 to 18-year-olds single-handedly changed the face of that referendum. My second point on the referendum is that it showed how young people are really willing to get into activism. There was young people on the streets, and that for me was amazing, not only because it showed young people's willingness, but because they weren't put there by David Cameron's housing policies, which was also quite good. It highlighted the potential of young people, and that's something this party has done really, really well for me. The willingness to engage with young people. I don't think I'd have the opportunity to be standing here today if I joined a different party, speaking, slightly nervous, shaking, trying to read aggressively from my notes whilst looking up at everyone at the same time, all at once. I really don't think I'd have that opportunity. And what is nothing is more satisfying to me than going out and campaigning for the ultimate liberation of the human race. And I think that's what we will have to bear in mind here. This isn't sort of a political party. This, for us, you have to look at the end goal and say, this is the ultimate. This is being a working class person and going out and campaigning for the streets. There's nothing more worthwhile you can do with your time. Giving it to charities, everything is affected by political reform, and if we keep that in mind, there's no reason why everyone can't be motivated to go out and do as much as they can. So I'm going to finish on this point. Young people are waking up to the idea that capitalism has to go for good. And that solution doesn't come from Labour, the Conservatives, UKIP, or Lib Dems, if anyone knows who they are. They've realised there's one solution to global inequality: imperialism, racism, and sexism. And that solution is a socialist future. Thank you.